What's going on, everybody? We are back. You know what tonight is? It's the NBA. No, it's not just that. It's opening day for baseball, baby. We in the building.
I hear you. One of my favorite sports of all time. Right?
Let's go.
What's going on, Ron? What's going on?
All my Met fans out there, you know how we do. Oh, wait, no. Oh, anyway, I'm just saying. What up, John, man? I'm happy, bro. You know, I like baseball too. Maybe not as much as you. You're probably a little bit more than me, but I love it.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good time, man. It's a good time. I'm glad baseball's back. And like I said, this is the NBA report, so we ain't gonna be talking about baseball today.
Right.
We will be talking about the NBA. What we got lined up for today?
Facts. So first off, the Mets rotation looks really good. You got no, I'm just playing. Anyway, yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to the NBA report. You know, this is on the MBK network. As always, tune in and support all the content. We got a lot of stuff going on. But today's show is about the MVP race, man. We got some really good contenders. I think some people think it's a two-man race, but you never know because the way these other guys are playing, I mean, stranger things have happened, and I don't know who does the NBA voting, bro, but I don't know. It could be any one of these guys. And you know, when we're talking about these guys, obviously, you know, Jokic is the returning, you know, reigning MVP, so he's obviously the front runner. You've got Joel Embiid, you've got Devin Booker, you've got Luka Doncic, and you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah. So
those are five unique type players, all different skill sets. But not only that, they're in different sort of teams this year. Like some teams, for instance, like Jokic doesn't really have a team built around him this year, when he had in years past. Embiid has gotten some help. I would say Giannis is now their team has gotten healthy, so he's gotten some help. Devin Booker's team has been hot all season, and not to mention he's been a part of that run. And then you got Luka, who's sort of you know, that guy who's his team is sort of in the middle pack. He's kind of like that ultimate star. He does a little bit of everything really good, high IQ guy. But it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know, man. We're going to talk about it, right? We want to get right into it.
Yes, we are. You know, and the thing about it is, I think the interesting thing about this race is that they're all so dynamic and different. Yet, you know, these guys are like legit. These are our superstars. Like these are the guys that can take over the game. And it's funny when you were talking about Luka. I mean, not Luka. I'm sorry, Jokic. You made me think about it, like, because I watch some of the highlights of his games, and I don't get to watch the actual games too much, but I know who the cast of characters he's playing with.
Right,
like this guy is
it's different
monster. How he's doing what he's doing, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. So without Murray this entire season,
right, you know,
and Portis also, right?
Yeah,
another guy, kid who was off,
Porter Jr. Right,
Porter Jr.
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing is, even like the people he does have on the team, like Aaron Gordon, who has had
a good season, but he had a good season though.
He's not what I like. He's not Aaron Gordon of Orlando. That was a different guy.
Yeah, plus he's not like, he's almost like one. He's not a 1B type player right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting though, man. Look, that team is in the mix. It's gonna be interesting to see how this thing, comes down the stretch. We just 2 more games left, so
Yeah, this
you
season
might as well
is
call the season.
it's quick, man. It came out of nowhere. Came out of nowhere. Salute to everybody watching. Salute to the chat as always. So you know what? Why don't we start off by taking a look at our first MVP candidate? I'm going to go backwards because when we get to the first one, there's going to be a little bit more going on with that gentleman.
Right.
So
Well, let's clear that out. Right.
Okay.
Nice.
There we go. So, and sorry if it blends in a little bit. That's how sometimes graphics work. First person up is Luka Doncic. Luka is currently averaging 28.3 points, 9.1 rebounds, and 8.8 assists. Like those numbers are phenomenal, man. I know I like to tease John because John likes Luka, but he's not that impressed with Luka. I'm like, Luka's a beast, man.
You're right about that, man. I'm always looking at Luka, and for whatever reason, maybe it's the way he plays the game. He doesn't play it fast. He doesn't play it. He's sort of methodical with his play, and he doesn't have the most outrageous jumping ability. So it doesn't look like it isn't flashy. What's flashy is his skill level, right? He's very skilled. He has good. He's a top rated passer. He can see the court, and he's an elite scorer. He could take you, inside and out. But I just don't like the hype. That's really my thing. I think the hype that they gave him a year ago, sort of presenting him as the MVP of the season without a season even beginning, was sort of disrespectful. So at least this year they sort of calmed that down. And now look, he's actually in the race this year. But last year, I don't even know if he was top 3. Was he even in the discussion last year? I don't think so.
He had some really nice moments, but I think he's definitely more of an MVP candidate this year than he was last year.
I would have to agree with you.
And that team has gone through a lot of injuries, and he's been the constant for that team. The only thing I think now is that he's kind of created his own little animal because he's such a whiner. And so he's starting to turn, like some of the fans who, there's fans who love great NBA players, no matter, what's your favorite team. If a player plays really good, you gravitate towards that player. But when the player is does something that turns a fan off, that's kind of one of those things where Luka's at right now, because his whining, I mean, he's picking up bad habits.
He might as well be playing for the what's that, Major League Soccer teams,
Oh, right.
the World Cup teams, Barcelona. He might as well be playing for Barcelona right now.
And I think you are right though, that the hype for him is extraordinary, but I kind of think it's possibly because of the fact that he kind of breaks the norm of the stereotype of European players. Like he's the best thing that we've seen in a very long time. I don't know who's the best European player you ever remember. I mean, I know who it is for me. His numbers just don't dictate it because he didn't play. Well, people would say Dirk, but I would say Drazen Petrovic.
That's who I was thinking of as far as like skilled wise.
I
would have said Petrovic.
I love Petrovic, man. It's just a shame. We lost that guy too soon.
Yeah.
And for those out there who are watching, especially young people, if you don't know who Drazen Petrovic is, he used to play with the New Jersey Nets. Go do a little history on him, man. He was a really good player, and unfortunately lost his life in a I think it was a car accident. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I believe that's what it was. So but he was a really, really good player, and I was a Knicks fan. I really liked him. I don't know.
Not to mention, Michael Jordan himself was he's one of the hardest people he had to guard straight up, one-on-one, because he had so many tools, and they went at each other.
Yeah. Kept Giggles, salute to you in the chat. He says Luka and Randall have the worst attitudes.
Right. You ain't lying.
Listen, it is what it is, man. But Luka is a very dynamic player, and he obviously has shown that he can take over a game, because he's, like I said, he's been doing a lot without a lot of his supporting cast this year. No Tim Hardaway. The injuries over there.
Do you happen to have their record currently and where they stand?
Yeah, they have a really good record actually. They are just
Which
just
is
had it up. They're 50-30.
which is one of the reasons why he should be up for as a candidate. Like he should be up in this discussion around MVP.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, this year at least it's definitely I don't know what the right word is, but I won't disagree. It's warranted, right?
Yeah.
That would be the word. It's warranted.
And the other thing about it is like it's something to be said about, what have you done for me lately? And when we're winding down going into the playoff stretch, I mean, they've won 7 of their last 10. Like, so it's like fresh in people's minds. People see, they're hot at the right time.
That's right. You gotta give them credit.
Facts. So
although our Knicks, we got some wins against them, so I'll take that.
Hey,
I'll take those little wins.
Listen, we don't know how to close any other games, but hey, Dallas,
got that
watch
one.
out.
Yep, Dallas Knicks.
The Dallas Knicks. I think that's what helps us against them because they can't really beat because it's like they're beating themselves. You know what I mean?
They can't surprise us, right? We know all their players.
Right, exactly. So then that brings us to this gentleman who, I mean, you talk about somebody who is underrated and never gets his respect. Wow.
Yeah.
Devin Booker never gets his respect.
You're right about that, man.
I mean,
Devin's a beast.
Averaging 26.7 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. Now, I understand maybe it's because you see the list of these players, they're all, really good at rebounding and assisting Scoring too, yeah. But I think he fits the mold of that. But I think he kind of it's because of his size that he pales in comparison to some of these guys.
I don't know. I also think his team is better, so he doesn't have to take on much of the weight.
That's a good point.
These other players, the other 5 on this list, have to take on. And this entire season, I would say the most consistent team in the NBA has been the Phoenix Suns,
without question.
They're the deepest team. They got the biggest, the deepest bench, the more versatile players that can come off the bench and score, plus 15 at any given night. And so Devin doesn't have to put in 30 a night. He can scale it down a bit. So that's why his numbers don't like pop out at you. But I think as far as having his team where they're at, what is their record right now? They're plus 60.
Whoa, right? I think they got. Let me just check and see if they added to it. But I think they're at 63.
They had a record, right? They're
broke the record. 63-17.
Right. So they broke the all-time record in Phoenix. So they hold the record now, 63. And I mean, you can't get any better than that for a season. So
very nice. Another team.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say another team that's I mean, they've been hot all year, but like they've won 7 of their last 10, right now too. So,
yep, that's right.
Yeah, I just feel bad for Devin Booker because it's not even just like I don't think he has a shot to win the MVP, but because of how good his team is, but also like he's just always overlooked. How many times have we looked at the All-Star roster and said, "Why is Devin Booker not an All-Star?" You know what I mean? How many times has that happened?
That is so true.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And that's because of his size at the
I think that's what it is, bro, because he's just as good as these other players. And because he's how tall now see, you had to say it. Now I gotta look it up, B.
Who you thinking of?
No, I had to look at I want to know his height.
I think he's 6'6", right? Or 6'5".
He's 6'5".
6'5", yeah. Just
could you imagine
not really undersized? Yeah, I mean it's undersized for this NBA, but think about it. When back in the 90s, that was sort of the average height of your shooting guard. 6'5", 6'6". You barely got a 6'8" shooting guard. You know what I mean? So
it's true.
Michael Jordan 6'6". So I mean, I think he's right there where he needs to be. I just think that his team is so good this year that he's going to get overlooked, especially when you look at the numbers. And then there's some other advanced stats that we didn't put up, of course, that sort of give you that I don't know what they call it, but it's some sort of winning percentage that you have to take into consideration when picking your MVP. Wins above replacement, I think it is, right?
Yeah, wins. Yeah. I think that's what wins above replacement. Because I was about to say something else. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. It's WAR.
Yeah.
So they have the same thing in the NBA.
Right.
I'm not sure if they call it that. I know they call it that for baseball.
Baseball, right? Yeah.
I know it's very similar. But if you would check that, you may have to put that into consideration when choosing the MVP for this year.
Good point. So that's Devin Booker, guys. Another very worthy candidate. He's not the front runner, but he's definitely in the mix. I mean, but let me tell you something. Some shocking things, like I said, have happened. And one, who could be mad if they picked them, but it would be kind of shocking, to say the least. But hey, they do have the best record in the league.
Right. And that has to amount to something.
It does.
Yeah. What would surprise me if Doncic made the top 3, because then I'll be like, come on, what are you doing?
But you know what? I mean,
He's
50
got good
and
numbers.
30.
He's got good numbers, but I compare them to the next 3 that we're going to show.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I see your point. Let's see. So the next gentleman on this list is come on, man.
Right.
Listen, Giannis is Giannis, man. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 29.9 points per game, 11.6 rebounds, and 5.8 assists. Guy does everything for them. Everything.
And how's their record? What their record looks like right now? They're getting healthy, so
they are currently 49 and 30.
49 and 30. So they don't have this. So the Mavs have a better record
by one game.
One game, but the stats similar. They're similar to Doncic this year.
Yeah.
Doncic actually carries more assists and just a little bit less on the rebounding side, but you would expect that because he plays more of a guard position. Giannis played most of this season as a forward, center, sometimes as a guard.
Oddly enough, I'm still kind of surprised that Giannis averages more points than Doncic, because Giannis is not a great shooter, so he has to put more max effort in order to score his buckets. It's very interesting.
However, this year he's upped his percentages and free throw percentages up. His 3-point percentage is up. So that just automatically allows him to score more points because now you can't just leave him wide open and shoot a bucket. And he's so good down in the paint that he shoots it at a high field goal rate because once he's down in the paint, it's hard to stop him. That's
a good point. A really good point. And with regards to them, like they're getting, they're fully, for the most part, I think they're fully healthy now. At the right time.
It's going to be scary for all these teams in the East.
So it's a tough team, man. It's a tough team to match up with. Now, I don't think many teams want to mess with them. Right. I don't even think I know Phoenix has to worry about them too, because the thing about, say what you will about Phoenix. Phoenix is a small team. Like outside of Ayton.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So we'll see.
That's why that matchup would be very interesting if it happened again.
Agreed.
If it were to take place again, it would be a matchup for the ages because that would be sort of Chris Paul's Achilles heel, right? To get past Milwaukee to get his championship ring. So it would be interesting.
Although something tells me that if these same two teams make it again, I feel like Phoenix will be able to do something different, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? So then this brings us to what some people think is the consensus MVP, even though he doesn't feel it himself. He's like, what's going on? He's feeling like he's not the man, but because I don't know. We'll see. And that's Mr. Joel Embiid, bro. Joel Embiid is out there. I mean, 30.4 points per game, 11.6 rebounds, 4.2 assists.
Yeah. The guy's been sort of a one-man destruction. He's sort of a Terminator right now. This entire season, he's held it down by his lonesome for most of the year, and now he's got a little bit of help, and he's still putting up really strong numbers.
Yep.
And they're winning. So that's the thing. They have a winning record. I think for them, they would go as far as Joel can take them. Harden's going to be extremely helpful. He's got to be consistent. He's got to play consistent in the playoff, which we haven't seen Harden do in the past. But if he does whatever he can do to help Embiid get past the hump, is just be that supporting cast, and work off of Embiid, because man, it's hard to stop that guy. He's got so many tricks up his sleeve, and at that size, there's not too many players that can do what he does.
No, I agree with you on that. That's tough. He's tough to stop. Like every night, I'm thinking, how does he able to keep putting up these numbers, man? He's just a beast. It's crazy.
Right.
These bigs. This is a really. It's weird because this is the NBA. This is now all about 3-point shooting, but we've got some dominant bigs running around in this league. It's crazy.
We do. It's just a different style of big. Like we're not sort of used to playing. It may, like a lot of these newer centers remind me a lot of like a Bob Lanier, where he can sort of take you off the bounce, you know what I mean, and not have to play you with his back to the basket all the time. They got a little bit more dynamic game to them, and you would even look like Hakeem Olajuwon, who was also another player who did the same. David Robinson at times would do the same. So those are the type of centers we're seeing a lot more in today's NBA. So hopefully we'll start to grow some more. Hopefully one will turn out to be a Knick at one point, because I would love to see a player like that can get the ball and position themselves in different ways versus just trying to play the rim. Yeah, man. Embiid, I mean, I don't know why he's complaining, but I think he's going to be right in there, right in the mix. He's in the running. He's definitely top 3 for sure. Easy.
Yeah, I don't know why he's complaining either. I think maybe he might have been looking at something on the internet or hearing some buzz about Jokic and seeing what, I don't know. Maybe because he's obviously seen something. For him to make those statement or that comment about him in the MVP and like how people aren't really looking at him, I'm surprised. But yeah, I see Sim says Phoenix has it all though, man. They can play any style of basketball. Agreed, and that's why I think that they may be the team to beat this year for real, no matter who the matchup is. But it may not be easy because their Achilles heel to me is their size. Because, like I said, outside of Ayton, and even with Ayton, sometimes Ayton plays small, and they can't really afford to do that depending on how the other team plays. But all these teams have their own little issues. Like even with the Sixers, James Harden has not been all that's been advertised. So and that's another reason why you got to really look at Embiid for what he's been doing, because this team was supposed to turn into something different with Harden over there. They've gotten a little better because they were hot in the beginning, the euphoria, but now they've kind of settled into what Harden brings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's gonna be hit or miss sometimes. If he ain't clicking, and in the playoffs, the game slows down a bit. They sort of figure out schemes against you, and against Harden, you can scheme against him pretty easily. So I think for that team, they really need to focus in on making Embiid the focal point of their offense and play off of Embiid.
Agreed. So then that brings us to the last and final. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else really out there outside of these top 5 that are really in the race. There might be some honorable mention, one vote, but really, these are the 5, right? And that brings us to this gentleman who is the head honcho, and that is Mr. Nikola Jokic, the Joker himself.
Right.
Now, when you look at his numbers, you say to yourself, wow, 27 points per game, 13.7 rebounds, which is more rebounds than anybody else. That's 7.9 assists from your big man.
Right.
Like, this is what really, could he score just as much as Embiid? Yeah, of course he could. But he does more on the court. That's what he's known for. That's what he does. So you're gonna get what you get. And I can't be mad at him.
But also look at the games played, right? And there's some more advanced stats that we didn't place up here. Free throw percentage, his 3-point percentage, his, just look throughout the advanced stats and you will see that he's at a high level in almost every category. And that's partly why, and plus they're in what their record is, Ron.
They are currently, the Denver Nuggets are 47-33.
Winning record. Not as, they're sort of they're not as good as the Mavericks this year, right? They don't have the same sort of record. They're a little bit below that. But again, you're looking at who he's playing with, the type of, he doesn't have the same supporting cast, and he's still putting up, these monstrous numbers. It's just amazing to see.
His number 2 is hurt and his number 3 is hurt. So it's really, that's tough. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, possibly you're talking about his supporting cast. We're talking about Aaron Gordon, who is not the same Aaron Gordon. You're talking about the Will Bartons and the Monte Morrises of the world. Like, this is something, man. Something. That's why I'm hoping that somehow, some way,
finagle him out of here.
Yeah, he comes to the Big Apple somehow, some way.
Finagle him out of there.
Come and listen.
Who knows?
You think you're a star MVP over there, Jokic. We bring you to the Big Apple. You're gonna love it. All your brothers, they're gonna love it here, man.
Be beloved, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, man. But Nikola Jokic is as dynamic as they come. He's really he's a little lumbering when you watch him, but he's just so skilled. Man, I can't get enough of watching his highlights, bro. It's incredible.
It's the big thing between him and Embiid is sort of to be that big, to carry that much balance. You know what I mean? Like, they never, even when they are shooting an off-balance shot or they look like they're falling, they're able to square up, their shot and make a hard shot look easy. So
and the other thing I was going to say, when you really look at Jokic and Embiid, really look at them. There's obviously differences, but they really kind of look like the same player, except Jokic is so good with recognizing who else is on the court with him. He's got eyes in the back of his head. And that is the little bit of the notch above Embiid. And there's nothing wrong with Embiid. Embiid's pretty good at moving the ball himself, but he's just not Jokic. Jokic is just so good at it. Jokic could be a guard if he wanted to. That's how good he is at it.
He has that guard IQ.
Yeah,
for sure. When it comes to his passing temperament, for sure. He understands it. I think what Embiid has over Jokic is athleticism a little bit more.
Yeah.
He can run up and down. He's a little faster, can jump up. You could jump a little higher. But again, doesn't take away from Jokic's, like you said, rebounds per game. He'll still be up there in blocks, so it's interesting.
I would agree. So now let's move on from this. Because you know what? This is going to bring us to, our Bismarcky Player of the Week. And I'm just I'm chomping at the bit because I wonder who it is.
We made it easy this week, huh?
I think we did. This is going to be interesting. Who could it be? Yes, sir. That's right, folks. We talk about him. We talk about him for a reason. He's a monster. He's this is the thing. Another thing that separates, your average player from your superstar MVP type player. They know that they got to do everything they can in order for their team to win. They also know when it's time to turn it on. And Jokic knows that the playoff push was here. He's been on the grind for the last 3 weeks, man. He has been unbelievable. So,
Yeah, you're right.
I
without further ado, let's show some highlights.
Let's take a look. Outside, look at that.
That's it's smooth, man.
Too smooth, man. He a throwback. Then you got him on the box. You know, he knows that. Look at how quick. Look, come on, man. What are you supposed to do with a guy like this?
He's got the weight over you, and now he's just that much skill.
Oh, just look. Oh, you gonna give me this? Come on, this is a free throw.
It's too easy. He's like, I'm playing against a little boy. Look at him.
Yeah, man.
He takes his time.
Come on, man.
His time. He gets to his position, but you see how he's balanced. Even that shot, he's a balanced player. Like he's got his weight under him. You know what I mean? And he's like he's not falling left or right. He's squared every time he lets.
He's got great feet. You know, these bigs. You know, they all have good footwork.
That right there separates him. Those passes off the, find the open guy. Look at that. And great touch from everywhere on the court.
Look at him just pushing. Look at him. Yeah. He's running fast. I don't know. Can RJ run that fast? No, I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, yo, man, this is. Man, you don't know if something happened where Nikola Jokic made it to the New York Knicks, dude. Yeah,
you go nuts.
I'm done. I'm all over the place. Good feet, right back to him. Bang.
But without hesitation, you know what I mean? Like he can catch and pop. He ain't got to worry about it. He ain't thinking about it.
I mean, and it is just wet, like just net, man, just net. Man, special players, man. And this is why, like, you gotta appreciate all these talented, basketball players that we have, because this era's, Jordans, the Kobe's, and all this stuff. Like these are these guys. They're different, but they're very skilled, very skilled.
I agree.
So being that we kind of touched on some of the teams associated with these great players and how their records are and what's going on, I think it's only right that we kind of look at the close races that we got coming down to these last couple games, heading into the play-in and to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And really, when you look at, like, for example, the Eastern Conference, 7, 8, 9, 10 to a certain extent. I think 10 is done, really. I think because it's Cleveland Cavaliers are at 43-37, and they're 9 games back in the 7th spot. And then you got Brooklyn, who is 1 game behind them, and Atlanta is tied 1 game behind them as well. But Charlotte is 2.5 behind. So I think Charlotte can't get to 7. We know that.
Right.
But Charlotte can still creep up, but that would mean, they would have to win the next 2, and either Brooklyn or Atlanta would have to lose their next 2.
Let me ask you something, Ron. Do we have a bracket that we can put up? Is there a bracket that we can share?
Yeah. I think this will show. Let's see. I'll try it out, guys. I don't know. This may not be as good as I think it will, but I'll definitely give it a shot. Let's see what we can do here.
Yeah, just for the sake of talking through it and actually seeing it too. See if it works.
Let's check this out. See what we got going on here.
But it's going to be interesting coming down to the end with only 2 games left. There isn't that much movement that can happen unless a handful of teams, lose the last 2, and teams that are sort of tied, one of the other team, wins, and that may change a couple of little categories. I think the Hawks are in that mix right?
Mhm.
Hawks are one of those teams that's sort of tied with another team. So I guess we'll see.
All right, let's try and see if this works, guys. I'll be honest with you. Every time I try to do this, I run into some issues. So I
Fingers
don't know.
crossed. Fingers crossed. We're like one click away.
No, it's not working.
Not buying. All right. All right.
Mm-mm.
No worries.
I don't know why that is, man. It's okay. It's all right. I'll figure out another way. I'll get it, guys. Don't you worry about it. We definitely want to be able to see it, so you guys can all get a good idea of what it looks like and what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that is one of the things that you have to kind of think about is what can really switch up now. So for some people, you think this doesn't make a big deal
Mm-hmm.
because we're only talking about moving in between. We're talking 7 to 10, and they
Right.
basically play each other no matter what. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that
After they succeed in that, whichever team succeeds in the playoff round, right, in
right.
that playing round, then it would be decided where they land on the board, right?
Right. And for some teams, you think because the team in here that I think you most have to worry about is possibly the Brooklyn Nets, right? Because I
Right.
think that's the best of these four. So
Well,
it does matter where you finish.
they're the team has promised to be a winning, formidable, championship contender, as they've posed it to be to start the season. And every commentator had a top three. And as you see, because of COVID and because of what happened with that, they decided not to. They haven't been able to play much with each other this entire season. So they're finally getting the opportunity to play with each other in every game down the stretch and into the playoffs. So they're gonna have to prove it, because if they don't prove it, they're one of those teams that I look at as that's going to get disbanded at some point. I think Durant only has a 4-year contract that'll take him to like 39, right? Because he's 30, 37. He's like what 30? How old is Durant? Is he like 36? He
Uh,
might be 36 already.
no, I think he's younger than. Well, you know what? Maybe you're right. He might be.
I think Durant. Let me look that up. I think Durant is 30. I think he's 36 years old.
I got it.
He's
He's
33.
he's 33. Yeah.
33. So that'll get him another 4 more years. That takes him to 37. You know what I mean? Sort of the latter stage of his career. Is he gonna finish his NBA career as a net? I don't know. I could see him making a play for Seattle because Seattle's trying to put together a new franchise over there. And if he gets to Seattle, he could probably buy into some ownership. So I don't know if the Nets, Brooklyn, is going to be able to build a winning culture in 4 years. Not with these guys. If they don't win now, they have to win now, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree with you on that. That like I feel like this is that window for the Nets, and plus, then the Nets have made some very questionable calls as an organization. When they tried to go all in and go for it when they had
Right.
uh
Deron Williams, Paul Pierce, was it
Paul
that Pierce?
Pierce and Kevin Garnett.
Joe Johnson.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gave up a lot of assets to get those players.
Right.
And then they sort of recovered a little bit because they built.
Oh, look at y'all. Yo, my guy. That's what I'm talking about. You're Ron, you the best. Or is it our guy Jose on the ones and twos?
You know what I mean? Jose's just that is why his graphical know-how. I mean, the cunning, the exquisite style.
Look at this. Look at that.
Get it? I can't say enough of it, man. I can't say enough. This guy's incredible. So,
Thank you, Jose.
yes, thank you, Jose. Thank you. So I would say that, when you look at that, the bracket basically shows you, what it's coming down to. The 7 seed is up for grabs. So there's definitely some movement there. And I kind of see Brooklyn. I wonder who has the tiebreaker between the Brooklyn and the Cavs, because their records are so close. Cleveland can't afford to really lose any games.
And I
But
think they
I think
play
it
each
doesn't matter,
other.
because this is the weird thing about this. I think 7 plays 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, but Brooklyn
So
has a game against them in the last 2 games. I think one of their last 2 games is against Cleveland, so they can actually go in and tie them. And if Cleveland loses the next 2, Brooklyn can overtake them at 7.
yeah, I think you are right. Let
They
me
have a head-to-head matchup coming up. The other team is again Atlanta at 9, because Atlanta and Brooklyn have the same record, and that could shift.
Yeah, actually, they play each other tomorrow.
Yeah,
Cleveland and the Nets, and
so
then
if you look
Cleveland
at it,
plays Milwaukee.
doesn't look good for Cleveland. Cleveland could drop to 10 depending on how the last 2 games end for Atlanta and Charlotte. Well, really, not really.
No. They'll drop.
Not
They
really
could drop to
Charlotte.
9,
They could
10.
drop to 9.
I think
Right.
Charlotte's got 10 locked up because they're two
Yeah.
and a half back.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's really 8 or 9. Right. So
So
those are the 3
then,
areas. Yeah.
right.
That we look for.
So, and then if you look at what's going on in the West, yeah, that's pretty much that's been for the most part decided over there. The only difference is, maybe New Orleans and San Antonio can flip flop, but that's it.
Possibly.
7 and 8 are done.
Can
So
you imagine
Minnesota's
like this
7 and the
year?
Clippers are 8.
This year to not have the Lakers in the Western Conference it's extraordinary to see this, because you would have thought they would have kept on to that 10th spot, try to make a push, but they've had a season like we had. It was just super inconsistent the entire season, and now they're out of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know, man. I don't understand. Like, it's nuts. Because you think about it, the Lakers are out of it, and the Clippers are in.
Yeah, and the Clippers have
the
been
Clippers
without
look
Kawhi,
bad.
but they haven't been they've been without Kawhi and PG-13.
Yeah, they just recently got PG-13 back, and yet somehow they're in the 8. Like, you know what? This is funny because, I mean, you can clearly see it. This shows you the switch. This is the dynamic. Now the Eastern Conference is the new West, and the West is the old East.
Right. But there are a few teams still in the East, though. Like
Yeah,
because they could look at those records. The records are way better than ours in the East.
right. But I just think like the parity in the East is tougher. So we're beating each other up. So I think that's what's going on. Whereas in the West, like, that's crazy. Wow.
Coming down the stretch, man. I mean, I think there's more balance though this year.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's really interesting, and I think that I think we're in for a really fun playoffs. Shout out to Tricky Nicky. I see you, Tricky. Yeah, Tricky. This is actually not that type of show. Just want to let you know, give you a heads up. This is more of, the NBA report is John and I, giving you the what's goings on around the league. So it's just really basically us two, or whoever is here at the time, really chopping it up, man. But you know what? You're welcome to obviously join in on Saturday on the Know the Ledge show.
For sure.
That'll be rocking at 11 a.m. So Thank you, Tricky. Thanks for tuning in as always. So, before we get into the back page and the chat, I think we should kind of touch on what we like to call our NBA NBK legend. You know what I mean? Because we can't forget our legends, man. These are the guys that paved the way. And one day, 10 years from now, people will be looking back. Remember that guy Jokic? Remember Embiid? These guys were good, right?
And we're gonna show them up and salute to them and give them their flowers when it's time, for sure.
Facts. So why don't we take a look at our NBK legend?
That's right.
Yeah, man. Alonzo Mourning.
Good morning. Yeah, he's been around for so long, man. Let's hear some. Let's talk a little bit more about him. See,
Alonzo Mourning enters his 11th season as Vice President of Player Programs. In his role, Mourning is responsible to ensure personal and professional development of Heat players. After an NBA playing career that spanned 15 seasons and saw him capture an NBA championship with the Heat in 2006, 7 All-Star berths, and twice being named the NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Mourning earned his highest professional honor, being enshrined into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame on August 8, 2014, in his first year of eligibility. Mourning, who had his number 33 retired by the Heat in a ceremony on March 30th, 2009, is Miami's all-time leader in block shots with 1,625. He also ranks amongst the Heat's all-time leaders in points scored, free throws made and attempted, total rebounds, offensive rebounds, and double-doubles. Over the course of his career, Mourning appeared in 838 games with the Heat, Charlotte Hornets, and New Jersey Nets, and averaged 17 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2.8 block shots per game, all while playing 31 minutes. While shooting 52% from the floor, he finished his professional career with 14,311 points, 7,137 rebounds, and 2,356 blocks, 11th all-time in the NBA history. A perennial all-star on the court, Mourning also worked tirelessly for the children of South Florida through his charity, Mourning Family Foundation, to educate and create the opportunity for youth to excel. With that said, we salute you, Alonzo Mourning.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Alonzo Mourning. I always thought that, there's something about him that I he's interesting because being a part of that Miami Heat team and the rivalries that the Knicks and the Heat used to always have, sometimes they got crazy. We know the Jeff Van Gundy stuff, the dragon on it was wild, right?
Yeah, man.
But for whatever reason, I didn't hate Alonzo Mourning. Like, and he wasn't villainous like other players in the league that I couldn't stand. I guess it was because of the fact that deep down I knew he was a good dude, and him and Patrick had that good relationship.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Because if it wasn't for that, I probably would have despised Alonzo Mourning.
Right. Because he, look, he was an aggressive player. He played very, hard-nosed defense. He wasn't a player to be shunned away or whatever. Like he came in to play. He was physical. And again, he was one of those guys who was defense first, right? His offensive game came second. But I think you're right. His relationship with Patrick Ewing, being both from the Hoyas, that made every difference in the world, because when they came up to each other at the beginning of games and at the end of games, they always gave each other love. And that was dope to see. So you knew there was never any animosity. In the playoffs, though, they did less of that, because they really, they had sort of that old school mentality where it's like, it's playoff time. We're going to go back to our lockers. We're not going to dap it up like that. And that's why you can respect those two players during the era that they played in. But yeah, I agree with you, man. He is not one of those players that you sort of disliked for any reason. And then when he finally won a championship, you were actually happy to see him win it. I know I was. I was like, well, it was, I'm glad he was able to pull one off.
Yeah, and I mean, plus like he had his battle with the health issue, and that was
Right.
pretty big to watch him come back from all of that. Yeah,
That was
so
huge.
yeah, that was huge. Yeah, exactly. So I respect him for everything he brought to the game and everything he's went through. And like I said, it was just he was a really tough competitor. I mean, even him and Larry Johnson had a great relationship, but when they switched teams, like they
still
had
scrap
some
it.
brutal battles.
They wanted to scrap.
Yeah. And you know what? I respect that more now, especially when you look at today's NBA. Like guys today would never have that type of animosity towards each other on the court. Like they're all friendly, and even the people that may not like each other were never as cutthroat as these guys were back in the day. Like Alonzo and Larry used to go at it.
And they're going for your head, especially
Right.
on the defensive side. If you made them look stupid, they're going to try to knock you down your next time around.
Yeah,
I
and it was
remember.
no right after the game, we'll hug it out. No, we'll probably talk and but it'll be a couple days later.
Right, exactly. I remember there was one play. I think it was the Bulls were playing the Miami Heat. I remember Rodman getting into it with Alonzo Mourning, where it wasn't a scuffle, but it was like he ended up body slamming each other. It was wild. It was wild to see.
Yeah,
It was definitely one of those playoff game runs.
Yeah, man. I miss those days, but it's like I miss some of those days, but I also like where the NBA is today in some aspects of the game as well.
Right.
So you wish you could get like both.
Right.
Yeah.
A nice mix.
Yeah, nice mix. So now it's time to get into our NBA back page. And really, there's two items on the list. There's the play of one player that has been sorely missed throughout the NBA season. He's been back for a little while now, but he's finally looking like he's got his sea legs underneath him. He had a really good game the other day, and I've mentioned in the past that the Milwaukee Bucks need this guy. Like he gives them a different dynamic in which they haven't had all season. You get a little bit of it with Bobby Portis, a big who can stretch the floor, can still rebound and bang down low. But that ability to stretch the floor is huge because it gives you another weapon. Plus, it helps the spacing on the team, right? But when you can go from having one guy like that in Bobby Portis, and then arguably get another guy back in Brook Lopez who might be even better at it than Bobby Portis.
You're right.
It really, you know what I mean? Like it gives the Milwaukee Bucks such so many weapons and such a tough matchup to have. So, having Brook Lopez in the starting lineup and stretching the floor and doing all that, when you got to still worry about Middleton, who is quiet assassin. Giannis is coming, with everything he's got in his game, running up and down like the Tasmanian devil. You still got a sneaky, quiet Drew Holiday, right? And then you got all the cast of characters, the
Grayson Allen
and all these guys that just chip in, So that's a tough team to match up with. And salute to Brook Lopez because he came back,
against the Chicago Bulls, right? And scored like 28.
Bulls, he came back in really nice fashion. He's been back for a while, but the Chicago Bulls game, he had 28 points and 7 rebounds and 2 steals and 3 blocks. Like that is the Brook Lopez we got used to seeing last year, especially the playoff time. Like he was really good for them.
That's a great point because playoffs, that's a different Brook. Like he sort of turns back a page of time and sort of plays similar to how he used to play when he was the main star in the New Jersey Nets.
Right.
Because remember, he was a go-to player. He was the 1A with the New Jersey Nets. So he understands what that is. He understands how to work off the block and be a first option. even though his skills have declined, right? He's still a willing passer, and he can knock down the 3-point shot when he's open and given, multiple chances at shooting it. And with that team, you don't have to rely on him to be, to work off the blocks. You just need him to do what he's done in the playoffs in the last few years, which is rebound, play good team defense, and facilitate when necessary, right?
Right.
And everything else gets taken care of about the other players on the team, the rest of the core, which, like you just stated, Drew, Middleton, and then Giannis himself. So it's going to be an interesting time for Milwaukee, especially during the playoff. Their playoff push is definitely, for me, I'm going to lean on that team to come out of the East. I can't lean on any other team to come out the East. I think they're the team to beat.
I can't. I have no argument there. I agree with you. I thought that they were one of the teams to beat without Brook, but with Brook, they become the team to beat in the East. Mm-hmm. He makes them that much better. So yeah, they're tough. They're tough. And so we'll see what happens, but it's pointing towards a possible Milwaukee Phoenix site. So right. We'll see what happens. Anything can happen, but it looks
it's not going to be an easy task, though. There are some teams in the East and in the West.
It's no cakewalk.
They definitely have a chance at beating any team. So
agreed. So that brings us to, we want to touch on a little bit, you know what I mean? It's the NBA Republic. We can't forget our New York Knicks. Got to touch on them a little bit after that wonderful game we had against the Brooklyn Nets. When we came out, dropped 21 on them real quick in the first half, you know what I mean? Came out the hit. Oh, wait. I shouldn't be happy about what we did because we wound up losing the game anyway.
Right.
Jeez, brother. What can you really do? Like, I understand that you want to say, like, and you can't make an excuse for the second half because it's the same team that played in the first half. You know what I mean? So, like,
it's really about the inconsistency, not being able to close out a game. I mean, but that comes with immaturity, right? And it also comes from a coach who isn't willing to, shift his concept around who he wants or wants to see playing at the end of games. I didn't get a chance to speak on this, but I know other folks have. There was a bunch of post games after this game, and I think everyone was right when they said, that Tibbs should have at some point moved Burks out in lieu of another player. Giving another player a shot to, see what they can do, especially when you start to see him not have his shot fall. And, it's just interesting because those blunders come with a player like Burks when he's tired, and he can't finish. He can't finish the way he started. So I don't know. This is one of the reasons why I say next season I want to get a look. I want to get a real look at both Cam Reddish and Grimes over a guy like Burks, over a guy like Fournier. I really want them to get a real good look at them and see if they could potentially be starters on this New York Knicks team, even if we decide to stay with Randle. I would like to see Fournier take a back seat, play off the bench, and the same as Burks if we keep him. If we keep them both, I'd rather see them coming off the bench. But again, that's talk for a later date because we don't know what that draft is going to look like. We don't know if these players are going to come back, how many of them will. But yeah, man, it's unfortunate. But I think you look at the team they were against in the Brooklyn Nets, and these are the games that the Brooklyn Nets should be winning, to be honest, because they're the team that is expected to be in the playoffs and go forward, potentially to try to win a championship. And if they are true contenders for a championship season, they're not supposed to lose to teams like the Knicks. So with that said, they did lock in. They played a little bit, tougher defense in the fourth quarter. They got, the referees weren't happy with the whistle. They were sort of letting them play, which I'm cool with. I just wish they could be consistent, a little bit more consistent with the whistle throughout the game, and not let them play it out in the fourth quarter. It sort of doesn't make much sense. But teams with players like that are solidified all-stars, Durant and Kyrie, they should figure out ways to win games like this, and they did.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And thank you, Justin L. I mean, you stole my thunder. I was going to point to that. 19 assists in the first half, 3 in the second, and 14 missed free throws.
Yep.
He said that to me is the 2 biggest stats of the night. And you're not lying, bro. That is everything. You know what I mean? Outside of that, then you also had to deal with the fact that the Nets really needed this game. You got 2 dynamic players in Kyrie and Durant who shot poorly in the first half. It's hard to keep 2 guys like that down for a full game. You could say what you will. You might be able to keep 1 down, but 2 of them, one of them is going to hit a couple baskets here and there, and at the right time for them, which was the wrong time for the Knicks, along with all this other stuff. That's how it is. And to your point, I think that's everything. That's everything. The fact that their 2 stars started to play much better. They started to feel they were getting closer, so they got a little hype. They were cheering each other on. And, we already have the rivalry. Then the 19 assists and only having 3 in the second half, the missed free throws, also the Burks thing. And this is another, I mentioned it before against Atlanta. Tibbs did it again. You could say, oh, well, Fournier is a defensive liability. The Knicks weren't stopping anybody.
You're right.
So why not bring Fournier back in to at least be able to give us some offense? Because he was hitting shots at some point in the game. We could use that 3-point shooting. I don't know. Sometimes Tibbs really overthinks things to me.
He locks in on specific individuals. And in his mind, he feels like they're the right match at the end of games and isn't willing to pull away from that theory or that thought process. So, in-game decisions, man, that'll cost you a lot of games in a regular season.
That was a rough one. It gives us a bad narrative to make it seem like the Knicks are scared when it comes to closing out games. Like when you start putting a little pressure, they fold. That's not a good narrative, man.
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, let me just give a quick shout out once again. We'll touch on anybody you see in the chat. John, shout out.
May 4th. Respect. Justin L. Respect. Dope Soul Sports Talk. Shout outs to you. Who else we got?
Showcase is in the building. See you.
Okay.
Toch. What's going on, Toch? Tricky Nicky. I already mentioned you, but I'll mention you once again. C_Mac Troll. You know how it is.
Chevy on Productions. Shout outs to you. D School is 718. Shout outs to you. Sim Podfather. Shout outs to you, my friend.
Always. And definitely shout out to the people who are watching that are not in the chat, because not everybody wants to get down in the chat.
True.
It's understandable. It's okay. As long as you watch and support, that's all that matters. Speaking of supporting, before we get up out of here, once again, if I haven't already said it enough, I'm going to say it again. Definitely support the whole NBK network, all of the content and shows that you see. Support the family as a whole. You got Knicks and Bruises with Tony Crow. You've got the crossover with Tony Crow and Steph. You've got the Queen's Court with Steph. Now Steph has launched her own channel. As John had already mentioned and shouted her out. That's the Dope Soul Sports Talk. So definitely, if you haven't already gone over there, Dope Soul Sports Talk, click on that channel, like, comment, and subscribe to her. Definitely check her out, man. And You can't say you don't have time because she's hitting you with quick ones, man. She's getting you, the 10 minutes you out of here. She's giving you the lowdown. So definitely check it out. Salute to Steph once again, and definitely check out Uncle Fulio, the controversy. I can't say enough about Fulio because the thing about him is he's controversial, right? But if you look at his content, the stats, the stuff, the information he gives you, those are the gems. The controversy sells, right? But he reels you in with that, but then he keeps you with the numbers and the facts. So definitely salute to Josh and continue to check him out and support his show. And of course, support Sim and all of the other shows that he's got going on with the pregame, post games, the shoot arounds, all of that stuff. And if you like what you see with us, continue to support Still Knicks Fans. You know what I mean? We're still rocking out here. We're doing our thing. Ron and Jon and Jose on the ones and twos in the background. You know what? We here. So definitely check us out. Still Knicks Fans is going to continue to give you great content. Hopefully you like it. But thank you for tuning in. Jon, any final words?
Man, as always, and I do want to give a shout out to Gerald D. MacGyver. We see you. Cap Giggles, we see you. Dark Matter Raw 7, we see you. Like I always say every week, stay blessed and look forward to the next one.
That sounds about right. Thank you guys. You know what? Always appreciate the support. Tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks Fans. We back again. MBK, NBA Report. We're going to keep coming back. More and more information out there. The playoffs is going to start. It's going to get hot. I can't wait till we start talking about that stuff. Woo, it's going to get spicy. I love it.
Right about that.
Take care, everybody. Thank you to Jose in the background on the ones and twos. He's holding us down, guys, always, man. Oh, and guys.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah. If you haven't already checked out the Monday Still Knicks Fans show, our weekly recap and prediction show. Unfortunately, Jon couldn't be there. He had prior engagement. But listen, what did happen that night was legendary. Jose, the one and only, revealed himself.
Cameo.
He made his appearance, guys. So definitely check that out. If you watch the show and you know what it's about. I mean, obviously, if you never watched it, you don't care. But definitely check it out, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. We out of here.
All right, let's do it again.
Run that.